Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Local Lowdown podcast. We are located in South Central Texas. On this podcast, we do a weekly review of all the newspapers in Lavaca County, Texas, and also the Luling Newsboy and Signal located in Luling, Texas. After the reviews, we will have a conversation about different subjects all over the Lone Star State. Some of these things can get quite comical. Thanks for listening. And now, here are your hosts, Murray and Michelle.
Hello, everybody. This is Murray back with you on this edition of the Local Lowdown. The Local Lowdown podcast. How'd you like that? A little bit different, right? Yeah, this is for the March 18th and 19th issues. And this is old Murray, and I'm here all alone. I don't have my partner Michelle with me. What the hell happened? Where's Michelle? Well, the truth is, being the good old boy that I am, I let Michelle have the day off. Now, in reality, Michelle has so much to do on the newspaper that I decided to give her a little break and do the whole thing by myself. So you know what that means. When Murray's doing the whole thing by himself, it means it'll be mighty damn short. And that it will. But I'm going to start off, and you'll hear me thumbing through these newspapers because I'm just going to hit and miss on them and things that I think you might be of interest. Possibly those of you that hadn't received your paper, this will give you some idea of what you have to look forward to. We're going to start off with the Yoakum Herald-Times and see what's going on down there with Nadine and Allison at the newspaper. They have a car wreck photo on their, well, it's not exactly a car wreck. It's a tree fell on top of this car with the high winds and all. And so they have a photo of that. And then there's more stuff about a major vehicle crash that caused a fatality, which happened south of Shiner on the highway on 95 going to Yoakum. And then they have the Lavaca County EMS report and the Commissioner's Court that Jimmy wrote and some of Judge Mudd's highlights from the recent conference that he attended. We're going to go inside now and take a look. Yoakum Fire Chief has his article, and then we have a story about Bishop Valhauer, and I believe we had that last week in the other papers. And then you have the events and meeting notices and so forth. And like I said, these are things that you normally see in your paper every week, and I'm just highlighting what you're going to see this week. Be sure and check out the classifieds. You might just find something in there that you didn't even know that you needed. And we have our classifieds in all our papers. They get quite a bit of results, we hear, from people who place their ads in the classifieds. And Yoakum has their sports. Thank Mark Luby for that, and Raymond Rosas for the photographs. And we have an article here about the Lady Bulldogs losing their recent district games, which is not good, but we know they'll be back, just like every other team in our county. We all have our ups and downs, and thankfully our kids seem to have more ups and downs when it comes to baseball and softball. So that pretty much wraps up the Yoakum Herald-Times, and we appreciate Nadine and Allison, and we appreciate all the hard work they do to get their newspaper out every week, and we thank them for it. We're going to move on now to our friend Nicole Smith's paper, the Luling Newsboy and Signal, and she has a lot of things in here about the Luling Main Street hosting the 16th annual Ragin' Cajun Throwdown and Cook-Off, and Nicole's got a lot of neat pictures in here for that. And then she has another article about the city council approving a compensation plan. So that will be of interest to a lot of you folks over there in Luling. we're going to go inside now, and she has an article here about a Texas constable and the tradition since 1836, and it's Constable Paul Easterling. We have one obit that I see here. It's Judy Tungate Grantham, and condolences to her family, and I hope I pronounced that name correctly. And we have the police reports and have mug shots of all those involved. And then Nicole writes another article about the community library, Memorial Library over in Luling, from prompt to performance. You need to check that out, all you people in Luling. And by the way, Luling, we appreciate Luling too, in our local Lowdown podcast. They have the most viewers or listeners of that podcast than any other of our papers. And isn't that amazing? They're not even in Lavaca County. But that's probably because Nicole Smith's on there quite frequently. And Nicole does a mighty good job with that. Nicole writes another story. The headline says, "When Dreams Shatter." You need to check that out. It's a quite lengthy article. It's got some good photographs and some good graphics. And be sure you folks over there check that out. There's really a two-page spread about that. And we have our church directory and the classifieds and sports. And the Eagles went 0-2 last week, according to Mark Luby. And Nicole's got several good photographs, which that's about the only kind of photographs that Nicole takes. And old Murray's got a column in here about the drought dampening the 2026 Texas wildflower outlook. So check that out. You folks that are waiting for the bluebonnets to come out, maybe this will give you some idea of where to go look. And the Plum Creek Watershed is holding a open house on April the 8th. And all kind of things about Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. And April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. So the Luling Newsboys about got it all covered, and we appreciate them. We appreciate Nicole and everything she does for us, and she helps out over here a whole lot. Not only does she do the podcast with us from time to time when we need a guest host and what have you, but we can always count on her to write articles that we need, and we certainly appreciate that. We're going to move on over now to the Shiner Gazette, home of Shiner Brewery, which is a big mainstay in that community. On their front page, they have the story about the two-vehicle crash that ended in a fatality on Highway 95 between Shiner and Yoakum. And then the annual Shiner Banquet is coming up this coming Saturday, I believe. It says next Saturday. Perhaps that's probably, next Saturday. Anyway, check that out. They're also having their cleanup week going from March 23rd to 27th. And they give us a notation here that the first day of spring falls on March the 20th. So we look forward to that. I know I do. I love the warm weather. You know, that's sort of a trademark of old people. They love warm weather. I don't know of too many older people that particularly like it when it's cold. I sure don't. And my old daddy told me years ago, he said, "Son, when you get old, you will not like cold weather." And Daddy, you were right. I don't like it. But we'll go on inside here on the Shiner Gazette, and we have the one-act play dinner theater is holding a silent auction. Will be held on Sunday, March 29th. And then we have a story here about the local Girl Scouts and more about Judge Mudd's comments on the conference that he attended. And then the Lavaca County retired teachers had a master gardener speak at their meeting, and the Altar Society held their regular meeting. All that's coming to you from the Shiner Gazette. If you haven't received your paper yet, that'll give you some idea of what you can look forward to. And also, Jimmy Apple has an article in here about the 45th annual South Texas Polka and Sausage Fest. It's set for this weekend, and with all activities to be taking place at the Knights of Columbus Hall in Hallettsville. So that's some fun times there, folks. If you've never been, you need to make it a point to attend this time around, this weekend. Be a lot of bands and polka music and a bunch of good food, so you can all look forward to that. Now we're going to leave Shiner and head toward the community of Moulton, and we're going to see what's going on in the paper that I like to have a little part in putting together. It's called the Moulton Eagle, and we have our lead story is that story about that crash, that one fatality in Saturday night's crash south of Shiner. So condolences to that family that lost a loved one, and there's not a whole lot you can say. It's a sad, sad thing, and I know there was a notation made somewhere in the article about texting and driving, and I don't know that was the cause of it. And I think that the comment came just to remind people not to do it, because I know myself the few times, or actually the only time, that I ever attempted to drive and text, well, just for that instant that my eyes were off the road, I nearly had an accident. So please, friends, if you are doing that, please stop. If it's an important text, or it's so important that you got to send it or receive it, you'll find you a safe place to pull over and do it there. But don't do it while you're driving. And we're going to go inside now the Moulton Eagle and see what we've got going on in there. We've also got the story about Judge Mudd highlighting his visit to the VG Young Conference. This is part 2. And we also have the story about the 45th Annual South Texas Polka and Sausage Fest this weekend. And thanks to our senior reporter, Jimmy Apple, for writing that. And then Mark Luby, he sent us a lot of sports for Moulton this week. It's the Kittens went 4-0 last week in their softball games, and congratulations to them. And they also placed 4th in the varsity at the Brahma Relays here in Hallettsville. And we thank Chuck Groff for his photograph. And we're going to go on inside and check out the rest of it. We have one obituary with Johnny Dursky, and condolences to his family. And then we have an article about the Democratic Women opening new headquarters, also about the Lavaca Extension Education Association holding a cultural arts competition. And we also have our classifieds in there as well. On the back page, we have a big photograph of the Moulton Boys golf team, and they took home 3rd place in the Shiner St. Paul golf tournament last Monday. And also congratulations to Kenton and Bethany. I don't have their last names listed here. They earned silver medal in the mixed doubles at the Sacred Heart Tennis Tournament held Tuesday, March the 12th. So congratulations to them. Also, I want to thank South Star Bank for their ad, and BAM Tractor for their ad. In fact, I want to thank all our advertisers, because without them, we couldn't produce these newspapers. And besides that, we wouldn't get paid, and Lord knows we need to get paid. We're going to wrap it up by going over to what I call the flagship newspaper in our group. This is the Hallettsville Tribune-Herald. The graphic and the page design and the layout is by my co-host, Michelle Price, and Michelle always does a good job. And she has a story here about the Eazell Volunteer Fire Department and about the council approving the final draft of a comprehensive plan. So check that out. And we have a story about the BFW Post 6382 honoring their local first responders. And we have also that story about the fatality that we had in all the papers about the wreck over between Shiner and Yoakum. We'll go inside. We have this story about the Polka and Sausage Fest. That pretty much led out all our papers. And then we have the Town Chatter, which is normally put together by Henry Joe Yashik, but he's been ill. And so Chuck Groff has been doing it for the last several weeks, and Michelle made a graphic and called it Chatting with Chuck by Chuck Groff. And Chuck's doing a good job filling in for Henry Joe, and as soon as Henry Joe gets back, well, he'll have his column back. The Jots for Jim, written by Jimmy Apple, his column. And then one of my little features is called Sycamore Creek Cowboy. And Sycamore Creek Cowboy is saying, why do we wear green on St. Patrick's Day? So take a look at that. You never know, you might learn something. We have 3 obituaries: Faye Marie Vacruza, Clayton Joseph Mingle, and Leon Dwayne Holt. Now, I hope I pronounce those names correctly, but we wish condolences to those families. God bless you all. So we're going to move on from there and further inside the pages, and we have the feature that, I believe this feature runs twice a month in our paper. It's by Roy Sanders, which is part of our newspaper group. I believe he's out of the Giddings office or somewhere in that area. And he has a big story about vegetable growers getting ready for a new year. And he's featuring Bob Hinkey in this article. So you might want to check that out. Well, definitely check it out, because that's local people doing local things. We have a story about the Pinewood Derby. That took place Sunday with the annual Cub Scout Pinewood Derby, bringing together 18 scouts from kindergarten through the 5th grade. You got some photos of those young men, so you definitely want to check that out. We're going to move over into sports now by the man that is pulling double duty on the Town Chatter and the sports, Mr. Chuck Groff, or like I like to call him, Little Chucky Groff. And he's got a story here about the Indians being victors in a district opening game. And Chuck's got some good photos in there as well. And he's got a story about the Brahmas and how they have notched 2 district victories. Also, we have pictures of the all-district basketball team, and girls and boys, and congratulations to them. And then he has a little bit about the Brahma golf team. Check that out. We appreciate Chuck. He travels a lot covering all these games, and we appreciate his work. And then he has a track story with pictures of a track meet, the annual Brahma Relays that was held last Thursday, with Columbus sprinter Caitlin Torres breaking a 15-year-old record in the 100-meter dash with a time of 12.11 seconds. That's quite a feat, and congratulations to her. Looks like they had a beautiful day for those relays, and we appreciate Chucky going over there and taking care of that, covering it. Let's see. We have a story about helping families navigate FSA, a Financial Aid Awareness Month, and it tells you how to go through the procedures to do that. And we also have Hallisville Elementary School Honor Roll. Check that out and see the kiddos that are doing good in their classrooms. And then there's a story about renewing your driver's license online. You know, our newspapers are just full of good tips and good stories about how to do things. And then we have a story about the Hope Livestock Show's Champion Drive marks its 4th successful year. And my column about the wildflowers, the drought dampening the wildflowers this year, is also on the back page. And that pretty well wraps up the Hallettsville paper. So that wraps up all our papers. I know it was brief, but maybe it gave you some idea of what you can look forward to and what you can expect in this week's paper. Hopefully you've already received your papers, but if you haven't already, that'll give you some idea about what you can look forward to. With that being said, I just want to remind you all that if you would like to see these newspapers in all their glory before they go to the printing press, go to LavacaCountyToday.com and subscribe, and you will see the papers perfectly before the printing press. Sometimes in printing they can lose some of their beauty, I like to call it, especially in the photographs. But by getting on LavacaCountyToday.com, get your subscription, you'll get these papers before they ever hit the streets or the newsstands. So check that out, and check out our local Lowdown podcast group. We've got some things going on. We're working a little bit, got a lot of things happening, and that's one of the reasons Michelle couldn't be here today, is that she's got a pretty good workload. And but things will get back to normal quickly, I'm sure, and she'll be back with us next week, or perhaps it'll be her and Nicole next week. You just never know who's going to be here, because we're very versatile. Anyway, before I go, I want to give you a little bit of this again that I did at the first. So stand by for a pause and listen to this.
Welcome to the Local Lowdown.
How about that? Michelle will be sorry that she wasn't here to see how I did that. It's just all the magic in the old experience. Yeah. I would be blowing my horn if I had one right now. What can I do? Let's see. There you go. People will be laughing at that, that's for sure. But anyway, thanks everybody for being with us, and thanks to everyone that is in our group that puts these newspapers out. I like to toot our own horn from time to time. We're a close family. We are a close family, and I'll just leave it at that, but that's true. And we try our best to give you the best newspaper product that we can put out. Sure, we make mistakes just like everybody else. And the bad part about it is when we make a mistake, as Chucky says, it comes out in print. And so people can hang on to our mistakes for a long time and look at it. But when we make a mistake, we will do our best to make it right, whether we reprint it in the next paper or whatever. But we appreciate you reading it. We appreciate our advertisers and our subscribers. And thanks so much. And we will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.